Hello and welcome to episode 8 of the Sweet Lavender Knits podcast. My name is Christine and I'm coming to you from just outside of Toronto in Ontario, Canada. Thank you very much for joining me today, and I welcome you if you're a new viewer, as well as thank you and welcome again to those that are returning. Today is March the 17th, 2018, and I am recording this in the afternoon, hoping that I can use some of the natural light with the lighting of the podcast. If you are a new viewer, you can find me on Instagram at sweet_lavender1 and on Ravelry as Sweet Lavender 1. I'll put those both up on the screen. You can also come by and join us in our Ravelry group. It's Sweet Lavender Knits on Ravelry, of course. And yes, come by and join in, and if you're up to it, introduce yourself in the welcome thread. I am sorry and I apologize in advance if I sound like I'm losing my voice. I probably am, but I was quite eager to record this podcast as I have some time. And it, you know, I did want to share the things I've been doing with you guys. I hope all of you have been well, and it's been a really wonderful week of knitting and crafting and other things that you enjoy. The past week has been March break for the kids here, so they've been off from school, and we had a mini vacation planned towards the end of the week, and I'm currently supposed to be on one, but we had some weather forecasts of bad weather that we had to drive through, and we were heading down to Pennsylvania from Toronto, so we had to make a decision fast, and we were lucky enough to be able to cancel our trip and get a full refund on the hotel expenses and all of that. So instead I've been at home, and we've been able to catch up a little bit in doing things together as family, with mom actually being at home because I get very little time with the family, unfortunately, and so it's been nice that way, and I've had some knitting time. I've been able to catch up on some podcasts that I really enjoy, and some new ones, and it's been very nice. Apart from that, let's see what else is on the calendar. We have a March giveaway for those of you who do not know. It's just a giveaway for me to say thank you for being a subscriber and a member of the Ravelry group, and you can go to the Ravelry group there and find all of the details for that. There is a prompt, and the prompt, I believe, was what March inspires as far as your crafting, whether it be knitting or whatever other craft that you do. What does that inspire? What kind of projects or colors or patterns or whatever? And the prize for the giveaway will be the winner will let me know a pattern from their queue on Ravelry, and I'll be able to gift that to you. So that's the March giveaway, and that's what's going on. And I thought because of the last knit along that we had, it was very short in February, but I thought we would be up for another knit along. So what do you guys think? Just let me know. I was thinking more of 2 or 3 month long knit along, and something to do with the turning of the seasons, because it seems like no matter where you are, the northern or the southern hemisphere, this is a time where we're either heading from winter into spring or from fall into winter, and how that would inspire your knitting. And so, because I wanted to do a little bit of a longer knit along, I was thinking more of sweaters and shawls and heavier knits maybe. Doesn't have to be heavier in yarn weight, but just bigger knits. And so let me know what you guys think, and if you will be up for it. Even if it's just a bunch of us, that's fine. It's always fun that way too, and the more the merrier as well. So if you feel up to joining us, then definitely do so. I haven't decided on prizes or anything yet, but we'll see what the feedback is, and I'll kind of go from there. I was thinking more like starting in April and then going April, May, June maybe, and that's when my mojo starts to, knitting mojo kind of slows down, and I pick up like sewing or something else. So yeah, let me know what you think. That's as far as all of the administrative stuff. I wanted to share with you guys my oldest whip, and when I say old, I mean like really, really old. It's not knitting, and I happened to find this when I was clearing out some stuff over the last few days, and excuse me, I'm just gonna take a sip of water. This is a cup. It's a travel mug actually, that my daughter gave me for Mother's Day one year, and it's from the Botanical Gardens, where I go for my orchid shows and things, or I'm actually a member of the Orchid Society, and that's where we have a meeting. So it just says love, it's hard to show there, love this planet, and it's really nice botanical motif of flowers, and it just has a very earthy look to it, which is nice. Yeah, and I just have some water in it, and it's warm water to help me with my voice. Okay, back to the oldest whip. This is probably the oldest whip ever. If you have an older whip, let me know. This is English paper piecing that I started in grade 3. So I must have been 8 at the time, and it was probably 35 years ago. So yes, and you know what? I really thank my mom for preserving these kind of things for me. Yeah, my mom held on to this, and I'm so glad she did. This is my first try at English paper piecing. Obviously I was taught, we were in the Middle East. I grew up in the Middle East, and in Dubai actually, and I went to an all British school, and so a lot of the crafts and what I learned and all of that, it had a very English influence to it. And so one of the crafts, I was like in brownies, and we did macrame and English paper piecing, and I think I liked this the most because it was, I still remember I could not wait for the next class to add to my sample. And I call it a sample, but at that point I probably intended it to be like a little tablecloth, maybe a little round tablecloth, and that's what I started. So some of the fabric, I still remember the teacher helping me cut it out, and we used magazine paper. We cut out paper from magazine and made the templates and hand sewed it. So you can see a lot of the hand sewing on there as well, which is really sweet when I think of it. I was just like 8 years old and I did that. Very nice. Some of it is coming apart. I mean, it's old enough, so it's coming apart now, but I'm thinking of, sewing it and not adding any more to it. But this last row here, I think it was, I just have a few on there and it's like part way, so I might rip back and then, framing it or something. I feel like I have to do something with it to hang it up. So maybe get a big frame and frame it up. And I don't know if the rest of the family will appreciate this, but I could find somewhere to put it, I'm sure. Anyways, I thought I'd share that with you. It is the oldest work in progress. Clearly it's not finished, so it is a whip. And yeah, that is the oldest. I can't think of anyone having anything older than that, but you guys let me know. I'd really love to hear that. Anyways, I thought that was a little bit of fun. As soon as I found it, I was like, oh my gosh, I want to share this with you guys. It was fun. I really apologize for my voice. All right, on to finished objects. And as you guys must have guessed, anyone who follows me on Instagram, I don't know if I've posted a picture of this yet, but I will if I haven't. But yeah, here are my socks. And these are the Strawberry Feels Forever. The yarn is from Ellie of the Craft House Magic podcast and Etsy shop. And it is lovely, lovely yarn. And I hope you guys can see the pattern now that it's on sock blockers. You can see a little bit of it's like a diamond, it's called the diamond lace pattern, and it's from the 750 knitting stitches book that I showed the last time. And yeah, it's called the diamond lace 1. And I just did a simple 1x1 ribbing for 20 rows and then went into the lace pattern. Fish lips kissed heel. It's my go-to heel. It's memorized. I don't have to think much about it. And then just a rounded toe decrease with a Kitchener at the end. I have to say this time I'm not very happy with the way my Kitchener stitches came out. It looks a little spacey. I don't know what I did differently. Maybe I tugged on the yarn too much, because that can happen too. When you tug at some points and you don't at the other points. But I wasn't very happy with that. It hasn't been blocked yet. I was just feeling lazy. I'll get to it eventually. But the ends are all weaved in and it's yeah, done. So finished object. There you go. I really like that because of the podcast. I don't feel pressured, but at the same time, just knowing that I have somebody to share with, I tend to want to have a finished object without the pressure or without feeling like I'm a workhorse. But you guys know what I mean, right? And okay, so on to some works in progress. I have to share with you, I had to cast on something. Because I've been thinking of this shawl for a very long time. It's the Sorento Shawl by Marsha Ibuki, and she is a Canadian designer. She doesn't have too many patterns, but this one I came across on a New to Me podcast. It's Little Big Knits. I hope I'm saying that right. Little Big Knits, and her name's Selma, and she's out in Ottawa, which is just a few hours away from me in Ontario. And she is, I really like the whole, I like her podcast, I like her aesthetics, I like her choice of colors, and she's a mauve girl. That's exactly me. Pinks and mauves, and just her patterns are beautiful to the things that she knits up. Not her patterns, but the ones that she chooses to knit. Very, very nice. And I've been enjoying. I came across the podcast. I watched a little bit about it, and I found out that she's from Ottawa. And then, so I went back to her first episode and started watching, and I think I'm at episode 7 or 8 right now. And in her first few episodes, she had test knit and completed the shawl, this shawl, Sorento. And so I thought, when I saw hers, I was like, okay, I gotta knit that, because it seemed like a very easy to knit shawl, as well as it's got nice depth, and I like that to be able to drape around. The length as well as the depth. So, oh, okay, well, I'll come back to what I'm wearing, but yeah. So this is all I've done, and I just was sitting and knitting for about half an hour before I told myself, no, it's okay, I can do the podcast today. And so you know, I had something to show you, a little bit of it. So nothing much yet. It's just the beginning. You do a garter tab and then you go into the pattern. And the yarns that I'm using, I think you'll be interested in that, are these 3 colors. It's a 3-color shawl, and I'm using these 3 colors from Fondant Fiber. I'll hold it back here so you can see. These are the 3 colors. This is a really nice cream, but it's got specks of the pink and the browns in it, a little bit of gray as well, specks of it, very tiny specks. So this one's called Blush, and there you can see some of the colors. And please ignore my caking of the yarn, it's terrible. And if you're a new viewer, yes, I'm blaming it on my yarn winder, but it's probably me. This is a cashmere sock, and it's called Ballet Slipper. And it's a blush pink, beautiful. And the last is the one I've started knitting on. That's a cashmere sock as well, and it's called Fawn. Yeah, right there. That's a good color. Okay, so I have all 3 here, and that is the shawl I'm knitting. I'll put up the picture for you on the screen so you can have a look at the shawl. It is a very nice pattern, easy to knit, and I'm hoping that it'll be my train knitting while I take a pause from sock knitting for this week at least. So we'll see, or next week actually. Yes. What am I wearing? It is the Color Affection shawl, and it is by Vera Valimaki. It's one that I finished maybe a few weeks ago, and I really love draping this around my neck, if I can get it off. There we go. And it's a nice crescent shaped shawl, and really, really nice. Yeah, and it's just easy to wear as well. So today I felt like I needed something warm around my throat. On to the next work in progress. I'm probably not looking at the camera today at all. I'm sorry about that. Is my Bowman jumper that I'm working on. This is a free pattern off of Blacker Yarns, and I'm knitting it in Knit Picks Wool of the Andes, and the colorway is Lavender. And you can see the lovely cables. It's got cables, and then you knit a whole bunch of cables for the top, the sleeves, and the top of the above the bust, and then you pick up in the round and go down in stockinette. So I can't wait. I mean, I love this. I am enjoying this, and since the last time I showed you, so mostly so far I've been knitting on the sock, and that's why the socks, and that's why I was able to finish it. And then I was so close to finishing it, so I had to spend the time and just get it done. And then I picked up this jumper. So this is all I've done so far. It is a little time consuming because of the cables, but they're not too far they're not too close, so between the cable stitches you can actually just knit in pattern quite easily for a few rows, which is nice. I'm not making much sense. I'm sorry. But yes, anyways, I've knit so far, and the one sleeve, and this is like now into the torso, and I have to do this just a little bit longer before I get to the neck, and then I have to divide or cast off some stitches for the neck and do the neckline. So yeah, it's quite interesting, and I'm enjoying it, and it's a really lovely pattern. I'm using my Knit Picks needles. These are the nickel plated, and I believe the size is 3.5 or 4, I can't remember, but I got gauge, and it's working out really well. So I'm going to be spending some time with the jumper this week. I keep saying this week, next week. Oh, well, the remainder until the next time I see you, I guess. So yeah, that's what I have as far as what I've been knitting on. And of course the shawl knitting, once I do go back to work, I will be knitting the shawl on the train as well. So I'll keep you guys posted. As far as what's going on, I've told you guys that we didn't go on our trip, so it's really been nice having this knitting time and being able to spend time with the kids. As far as knitting forecasts, I have been so tempted to just get the pattern and start it. And the one I'm talking about is the Zweig. I'm gonna go with Zweig sweater by Caitlin Hunter, and I really love the texture on the body. There is a lace pattern, but because of the yoke, this is yoke pattern sweater, and I have done a few, but it was for my son. Never attempted one for my size. And so I was a little concerned about how it feels around the shoulders, because I heard some people say that it was a little tight around the shoulders, or it made a big gap under the arms to try and get that sizing around the shoulder. So that is something that I've been a little concerned about, but you know what, I'm just gonna bite the bullet and get the pattern, because now I've already decided on what yarn to use and all of that. So let me just show you, for those of you who have been watching from the podcast, the previous podcast, you know that I got a sweater quantity of sweater weather from the Cozy Posy Yarn Co. That's Antonella's Etsy shop, and I needed to have the perfect sweater to knit it up, and I think the Zweig is the one. So I needed a contrast color to go with the sweater weather across the yoke, if you know the pattern. And so I couldn't find, well, I was looking at somebody who well, I was looking at all of the projects that have been done and trying to find something to give me some sort of an idea. And one that I like was this sort of like a granite, not a slate gray, maybe a gray to go with it. Then I thought, that's gonna dull it out. But I was thinking of this more like a fall sweater, and I can't think of a better color than mustard. And I like mustard on me, and I don't have anything nice anymore. I used to have this one sweater, but I think I wore it to death. But yes, so I'm what do you guys think? Like I can see a little bit of the mustard here that it picks up, right? So I think it'll go really well. And let me just show you. and I didn't want a very high contrast. That was another thing. So a lot of them had, and it looks beautiful that way too. It's just for me that would bring more focus on this part, and because of my arms being big, I didn't want to bring too much focus to that. So I wanted something that had some color, but was not too much of a contrast, if that makes sense. So yeah, I think I like this, but do let me know. And this yarn here is a Debbie Bliss fine Donegal yarn, and it's merino and cashmere. It's 100 grams of it, and trying to find a colorway. I don't think there's a colorway, but there's a number. It's called 54005. Yes, so it's got this, it says single ply Donegal, so it's got these little bits in there, and I think it'll be interesting. And it's soft, it's really soft. So that's what I have as far as knitting plans and knitting forecasts. And you know what, my Land of Sweets cowl is not off the radar yet. I am waiting to knit on it. It's just that I think I'm out of the pink phase right now, and I want to try and get these things done. Okay, and then the last thing I think I want to mention is that I've noticed that sometimes, you know, we want to share things with each other, and when you guys post comments, thank you very, very much for your comments, by the way. Last podcast that I'd asked that, you know, I really wanted to know what you guys were knitting on, and it was so lovely to read all of your comments, and thank you for sharing it. I do love to hear all this. That being said, I thought it would be really, really nice, like, you know, just to have a place where we could just share whenever we wanted, and, you know, about anything about anything, really. So I'm gonna open up a thread on Ravelry in the group, and just call it Let's Chat. It's going to be open, and you can post your pictures, what you're working on, and I think that'll make more sense, because then I'll be able to see what you're doing, and I can tell you the updates on what I'm doing, or if you have any questions, you can ask it there, and I'm sure any one of us could join in and just answer some of the questions. Although it seems at this point that all of you are very, very seasoned knitters, and you know, I could learn a lot from you guys. But if there's anything that I can help with, I'd definitely love to do that as well. So yes, go by and you know, have a look in what's happening in the Let's Chat thread, and I'll be opening that up in a few days if I don't get around to it today. We'll see. And yeah, so we'll try that and see how it goes. So I think that's it for today. Thank you very, very much for joining me. This is probably going to be a shorter episode than most weeks, and I think it's working out really nice just to be able to sit down and have a little chat with you guys, share what's happening, and you know, keeping you posted on all of my knitting. So thanks again for joining me. I hope you enjoyed watching this, and you know what, I didn't ask you, but I hope you had grabbed something nice to drink and your project, and you were watching it with me. And I hope you have a very happy knitting and crafting week ahead of you. Happy knitting. Until next time, bye-bye.